Thanks for tuning in to the KRVN Sports Podcast page, your home for all of the local broadcasts produced by KRVN Sports. This page and the playback is brought to you by Hoegemeyer Hybrids, raising the bar on yield performance. For KRVN Sports, I'm Jayson Jorgensen. High school football season gets rolling this week across the state of Nebraska, and that means it's time to talk to the one and only Bob Jensen of the Huskerland Prep Report. Bob, thanks a lot for the time. As we get set for another year to begin, what's kind of your thoughts with things on the horizon?
My immediate thought is player participation. And I don't want to get on a soapbox here if we don't have enough time. But, you know, we've had one of our state championship programs close it down because they didn't have enough players. That's Oakland Craig, and they take their football very seriously at Oakland Craig. That was a real shot across the bow, you know, because we've talked about all sorts of, you know, migration, and we've talked about how the classes have changed and all this. Well, it still comes down to who comes out for football. And, that is the first cousin to the whole lopsidedness of Class A and some other factors. But, on a little brighter note, I didn't really think about this, Jason, until I got to looking around before our talk. I seem to have picked 6 of last year's 7 state champions to repeat. And the other one, Central Valley in D2, I probably should have picked a repeat, but we went with Archangels. Again, what that speaks to me is I think it's very important. Everybody's going to have a team. It's math. The factors going to all come together. The stars are going to align. But in the end, it's programs that rule the world, and, winners win.
Well, I want to get your thoughts on some area teams in our neck of the woods. How about in Class B? It looks like it could be a better year for McCook. Yeah.
McCook's got a lot of players back, and, that's one of the campus visits I made over the summer. Love the vibe there. There's just an easy confidence among those kids. A lot of seniors. You got a 1,400-yard rusher coming back. You got a kid that's, there's talk he's going to be, Gabe Roberts going to be one of the best fullback linebackers that McCook's had. And when you think about McCook football, that's what I think about is who gets that title. Tristan Campbell's the rusher I talked about. They got the quarterback back. I don't know. I think we had him 10th or something like that. But honestly, McCook, they beat Scotts Bluff. If they beat Scotts Bluff, then all of a sudden, you're talking about semifinals maybe.
How about in C1, close to home here? Changing of the guard in Cozad as former Husker Jared Crick now is back to lead the Haymakers, and he takes over a team. While not a ton of numbers, there's some talent for the Haymakers.
Yeah, all of that's true. Jared Crick, such a great guy, and that's quite a commitment, frankly, by Jared. He's got nothing. I don't know what you've got to gain. I don't know what you've got to lose, but you got a guy that's going to walk in and be head coach of his high school alma mater. That's tough enough, although we do have a lot of coaches who do that in our state. He's a little bit different cat, but he does. He's got a lot of talented people coming back. And I don't know, we had Cozad in the top 10. They were right. They were good. They were really good last year. And it just feels like, this might be one of those teams that turns out to be a postseason surprise. Keep them healthy. And like you said, nobody's got enough depth. But, you keep Cozad healthy. And I don't know, there's another team that could win a couple games in the playoffs.
Talking with Bob Jensen of the Huskerland Prep Report as a high school football season is just around the corner. How about C2, Bob? A couple of programs in our neck of the woods figure to be pretty solid. Kearney Catholic, I think they have like 14 starters back. And then how about the rise of Central Catholic and Grand Island? It wasn't that long ago that they had to shut down things, and it looks like they have things turned around.
Well, taking them one at a time, yeah. Kearney Catholic, it is. When you think about last year's postseason, and you were to ask somebody, who were the semifinalists in C2, most everybody would have got 3 of them and forgot about Kearney Catholic. And the thing is, Kearney Catholic, got beat that last regular season game, and then they didn't get beat for a while. And they do. They've got everything you could want back. They've got their line back. They've got a 2,200-yard passer at quarterback. They've got 3 or 4 kids on the defensive side of the ball that, I mean, you can make a case they're in the All-State conversation at the start of the season. And again, it's not like North Catholic hasn't been a big winner, but somehow they never seem to quite be on center stage. So this could, and that could very well happen again in another semifinal. As far as Central Catholic goes, I'm pretty sure Jeff Ashby could fix it so I would throw for 1,200 yards. Like, I'm pretty sure, maybe 11, depending on how much I ran. You know what I mean?
Right.
But the thing is, he's got that sack kid, and Grayson Sack is just a stud in every way you can be a stud. He's smart. He's athletic. He's in the right offense. He's got 4 kids that are number 1 receivers. The whole thing's going to come down to, can they tackle people? And specifically, can they tackle people wearing uniforms that say Boone Central and Ord, because that's the gateway to the district title.
How about in Class D1? You mentioned earlier about, programs win games, and it would assume at the top of D1 this year, a couple of solid programs. DCS should be really good again, and it sounds like Sandy Creek's not done.
A couple things there. So as far as Sandy goes, losing the shock at a quarterback would devastate almost every program in 8-man. And, I don't know that you can completely replace him. But while everything was going on last year, there was this guy. He was a freshman. His name's Cameron Seeley. And, there was so much star power on last year's Sandy Creek team that, he tended to not really get noticed the way that you might think. Because you go back and look and see what kind of season he had, it was pretty incredible. They're going to move him to quarterback. And as I have said previously, I just wouldn't let go of it. Let him have it for 65 plays and just see what happens. But he's really good. He's got some great defenders back. I don't know. And Sandy Creek, truly, that is a tremendous story to think about where Sandy Creek was for 25 years and then where they've been the last 3. And then as far as Dundee goes, we've got Dundee County Stratton second, in spite of the fact that they lost one of their 2 best players, frankly, one of the 2 best players in 8-man. Lane Bybee transferred to St. Mary's, which St. Mary's is immediately elevated in D2. They were going to be good anyway. But, Dundee's got a lot of kids back, a lot of experience, a lot of athletes. Just look at the state track meet. And the leader of the pack, Ethan Latta. Ethan Latta is just got one of those kids, got a little pinky dust on him. He just knows how to make plays.
Bob, what's your gauge in D2? Does Central Valley still have enough to make another run at this?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. It could be one of those things that, among the many embarrassing things that are going to happen to me over the next few months, not having them ranked first might be at the top of the list. And when I think about them, I know it's real easy to get caught up in the quarterback and the running back that should have been going to school at O'Gorman in Las Vegas, but he wound up in Greeley. Those guys are all gone, but that defensive line, they're all juniors, and they're so fast. Anybody who watched last year's D2 state championship, Riverside's really good. They had no chance of blocking those 3 kids, and they're all back. And I think that, as much as anything, makes them a threat. They've got plenty of athletes, and that's still a really young team. I mean, there's a real good chance Central Valley is going to be better next year than they are this year.
Talking about big junior classes, they have a good one in Loomis, and they had a great season last year until they were bumped off in the first round of the playoffs and a huge upset. But what's kind of your thoughts on the Wolves?
I don't know, man. They're due. They're due for a little bit of good karma. Because the next game was going to be tough. That regular season finale coming down to the last play against Overton, a game that, that entire part of the state that keeps track of 8-man football was just waiting for weeks. You could see it coming down the pipe. And, when it got there, Loomis found a way to win it and just didn't have anything left in the tank. But frankly, that may be the best thing they've got going for them because all their best players are back. That Kai Meyer, I love that kid. Swanson's an all-stater in the line. They've got lots of skill, lots of, good size around them. We've got them 10th, and we don't have Overton rated, but they can both very easily wind up inside the top 8, quarterfinals, that kind of deal. And then I can't mention those 2, Jason, without mentioning Hitchcock County. Hitchcock County, also part of that district, very outstanding district, and they got everybody back. And again, people who are following along know that a lot of those kids are the younger brothers of the state champions from 3 years ago.
How about six-man? Does this come down again between Stewart and SEM?
Well, I don't think so.
Okay.
But then again, I thought I was going to do better than an 11 on my ACT test. So here's the deal. I got Stewart first. They got the quarterback back. Kate's just a great athlete. When your quarterback is leading six men in sacks, you got something working. I like Garden County a lot. Garden County's never been in a state final. They're undefeated into last year's state semifinals. Got everybody back. Their quarterback played all but a game and a half of the season on a torn meniscus. Maybe I'm just rooting for it, but having a team make its first finals awfully exciting if that could happen for them. And then Sumner's lost a lot of firepower the last 2 years, but winners win. And I know Shane's got a few things up his sleeve there, so I don't know. That seems to me where the action's at with those three in six-man.
Bob, tell me about this year's preseason magazine that folks can pick up. I know this is always a labor of love and something that you've done now for over 3 decades.
Yeah, thanks, Jayson. I do. The old thing about, if you love what you do, you never go to work a day in your life. Anybody who, likes the game of Nebraska high school football or has a kid that plays or a grandpa that used to play might like a copy. I've been telling people the best way to reach me. I have a Facebook page that I only look at in August. But this is August, and so this is a good time. You can always message me at Huskerland Bob, 67 years old, and I'm at Huskerland Bob. Regardless, you could drop me a note there. We'd be glad to fix you up.
That was Bob Jensen of the Huskerland Prep Report. Always great to have Bob on. Nobody knows more about high school football across the state of Nebraska than Bob. For KRVN Sports, I'm Jayson Jorgensen.